I'm Anissa Bowden. I am a mother, a wife, and I am so excited to be here. I'm running for School Board District 4. I have a background. You want me to raise it up?
You can.
Okay.
You can pull it a little bit from the bottom there. Okay, yeah, just go ahead and take it in your hand.
Okay.
That's
I'm
fine.
Anissa
There we
Bowden.
go.
I am a retired teacher with 30 years experience. I know I look young. I have a master's in leadership, which is principalship. I still have 10 years on my licensure. I probably don't need this. I have a teacher's voice. You might be able to hear me. Right now, you can't hear me now. All right, I am a longtime resident of Virginia Beach. I moved here in the 1990s, right after I started teaching. I figured out that it's cheaper to buy a house than to rent. And so I moved right down the street. As I said before, my grandmother used to bring me around here to play bingo. We started playing bingo here. I am so excited to be here. I thank you for inviting me. Right now, I believe that I'm running because I had a teacher who inspired me as a student. And her name was Mrs. Lanham. She was my chorus teacher. And I really can't hold a tune these days. That was so many years ago. But what she told me was that whatever dream I have, I could achieve it. And that's what I want for our students and for our teachers and for our community. I believe that our students should be inspired to achieve their dreams. I want them to have the career that they aspire to have, whatever it may be, entrepreneurship, whatever they have. Because I remember when she asked me what I wanted to be, I told her I had no idea. I had a dream of being a teacher, but I was told I could never be that. And she told me I could, and she believed in me. And I want kids to know that I believe in them. I want to empower our teachers. Because right now, if you go to the grocery store, everything is on the rise except their compensation. I want them to be respected as the educators they are, the professionals they are. I want them to know that I understand their hard work. Many of the times when I was teaching over those 30 years, I had 2 and 3 jobs to make sure that my students had breakfast, had the things they needed in my classroom. And I want to make sure that our teachers are able to live where they work. I care deeply for our teachers. And I want to make sure that our community knows that we are a partner. Now, we may say that because I have an education, I'm qualified. And to me, education is one thing, my experience is another. But that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily qualified as anyone else. My grandmother did not have a high school diploma, but she was as intelligent, as smart as anyone else. Many of you have relatives who never graduated from college, but they have common sense. And they have something that some people never have, which is empathy. They have something that I have. I was raised in the church, and I have a caring heart and a servant's heart. And if you elect me, I will take care to listen to you, and I will make sure that when you talk to me, and if I make you a promise, it will be a promise kept. And that you can trust me because I have integrity, because that's how I was raised. Back in the day, my grandmother said something, it was done, because that's the way it was. We want the best for our kids, and that's how she made sure I had the best that life could have. Thank you.
You still have a minute.
Oh, I still have a minute? Oh, okay. Also, Aragona is family to me. Many of my family members live here. Many of my best friends live here. And this is family to me. This is personal. And I'm not just coming here to ask for your vote. I'm coming here because you're my friends, you're my family, and I care deeply about what happens in our community. And I'm talking sincerely from my heart. And I hope you understand that people can come in front of you and promise you a lot and never deliver to you. But when I say something, I sincerely mean it. And when someone else comes behind me, I want you to see the difference between what I say and what they say. They will drop names, they will drop their degrees. Their degree means nothing if they don't mean what they say, if they can't back it up with their heart. And I want you to see the difference. Thank you.
I'll take that. Sorry, okay. Thank you.
Alveta, is that Miss Green?
Thank you. I am Dr. Alveta Green, and I'm also one of 3 candidates for the Virginia Beach District 4 School Board seat. Thank you, Ms. Samko, for inviting me to speak to the Aragona community. I have fond memories of this community as well. Like Ms. Bowden, I have ties to this area. I grew up in Norfolk. I'm a little bit older than Ms. Bowden, however, so I remember when parts of this community was being built as a little girl, and my parents, Sharon, every time we had a family member or a friend that moved to this community, and I also still have family members that reside in the Aragona Village. This village is very historic. I've seen it grow quite a bit. I think one of the things that makes it so unusual is that you kind of border on District 9, so there's some commonalities there that we definitely have to be on the same page for that I'll talk about shortly. I am a mother, a grandmother, and if you get points for being a wife, I've been that twice. And also, I am a retired educator. I retired from Virginia Beach Public Schools in 2022 as the Executive Director for Student Support Services. Prior to that, I have been a school teacher, scout counselor, and I also worked for 2 years at the Virginia Department of Education. My area of expertise is program development, and a total of 39 years in public education. Let me talk a little bit about the 17 years in Virginia Beach Public Schools. When I came to Virginia Beach Public Schools, I was hired as the coordinator of guidance services, where I was charged with having to restructure the school counseling program to meet the needs of all students. Because when I first came to Virginia Beach, that was not the case. Only those students that were going to college had access to their school counselor. And that was just not right. So we worked on what is now called the Academic and Career Planning in conjunction with the Virginia Department of Education to make sure that all students exit Virginia Beach with some type of plan in place, whether it was going to a 4-year institution, 2-year institution, or continuing their education with a preparatory school, apprenticeships, etc. Also, as part of my legacy to Virginia Beach Public Schools, many of you in here are graduates of the school division. So if you ever need a transcript, those over 1 zillion records now used to be under my supervision. And for me, it was problematic that it would take former students up to as much as 60 days to get a record. That is no longer the case. You can get a transcript now in a matter of days because we made the system electronic while I was working for the division. The last thing that I kind of consider my legacy to the school division is that as the Executive Director of Student Support Services, I brought together all the mental health components, and it is the first student service model, comprehensive model for the school division, which included psychological services, social work services, school counselors, AVID, secondary summer school, and I always say anything else the superintendent did not know what to do with, because we were support. And also we have 20% of our students are military, so a lot of those students, the military academic support programs fell under my area. In terms of why I'm running for school board after I retired in 2022 is because I want to ensure fair pay for teachers. I do have concerns about the book ban, as well as something that targets this community, mostly the park. We need to do something with the park. And the first key in the park is getting our 6th graders settled first. Ms. Samko, and to the Aragona community, I do my research because I know what I say on tape I'm going to be held accountable for. And so if I have a moment, I would like to quickly talk about the ability part and how I see that integrating well into what we do with the schools. First of all, this land was gifted to the school system. They need to return it back to the community. The other piece with that, it should not be sold to the city council, to reel back to you. In terms of the park, ability park, we have a special ed population at Pembroke Elementary School. Something near and dear to me because Section 504 fell under me as well. And well, my time is up, so we can finish. Hopefully I can share more about the park later.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Shannon?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is so good to be back. So I am your current school board member, Shannon Kendrick, for District 4. I was appointed to this role a few months ago, and it's been about 6 months. It's been great. I was definitely not looking into getting into politics right now. But public service is something that has always been in my heart. I'm not sure why I'm getting the feedback.
Move up this way a little bit.
Come up this way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. All right, so, well,
Are we having technical difficulties?
yeah, and I need the mic because of my voice.
There you go.
All right, so I was born first generation college graduate to 2 military retirees from the Air Force. My mom was a Desert Storm veteran, and my dad, assistant fire chief. I bring this military heritage to you all because I, like many children in Virginia Beach City Public Schools, are military. I went to 5 elementary schools and 3 high schools. So I relate to a lot of what the students experience in our school division. Well, I'm gonna keep talking.
Keep going.
Okay. All right. Well, so it is very important for me personally to see to it that our children have continuity, thank you, and stability in their educational experience. Since being on the school board, I've had the honor and the privilege of learning what the challenges are in the 4th district, primarily the tri-campus, as well as the Bayside Middle School and Bayside 6th grade campus. I had the ability to talk with you guys a few months back to learn about how important it is to remain in John Aragona's legacy. He left this land because he wanted to make sure that there was a playground and that the land went to educational purposes. It was brought to my attention that the city was looking at doing some development, and that's not right. And so I worked with Lorraine and a few others on our school board to learn about the issue and to offer my support in fulfilling the wishes of this community and ensuring that that land is rightfully used as it was intended. So with the tri-campus, I learned that those kids go to 5 different schools by the time they get to high school. And that is not good. And so what we've done is we're working on a plan, and the board just approved moving forward in community conversation around making sure that we reduce the number of transitions to where we can look at having a K through 2 model and a 3 through 5. And for our Bayside 6 students, having them go back to the middle school. But before we do all of that, we're going to have a community hearing to where we'll be able to engage the community and you all would be able to give your feedback. And when you do give that feedback for what we decide to do with Bayside 6, please make sure that you voice your concerns about what your wishes are around Jericho Road. That is a place where you can also share that. Well, I moved to Hampton Roads, going to the Regent University in 2008. I was the assistant director of the Robertson School of Government, and I oversaw the government program there. And shortly after that, I met a gentleman who became a congressman, and I became the district chief of staff for the second congressional district, where I had the chance to oversee all of the congressional operations. I'm going to need a little more time because of this technical difficulty. Okay, all of the district operations for over 700,000 constituents. Constituent services is important. It's important to serve as a servant leader, not thinking that you know all the answers. You have to lead where the community needs the work, and you have to fulfill their needs and work to do that. After I served for Congressman Scott Ridgell, I became the director of the Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance. The senior vice president, where I work to bring jobs to the region, which with being in the school division, it's so important to align curriculum to ensure that our kids, once they graduate, they have options. They don't just have to go to a four-year college, but they can take advantage of the trades and the different great careers that are offered here in the region.
I'll give you an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you so very much.
What was your name again?
Shannon, Kendrick.
Shannon.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, and so, I'm sorry, I'm really sick. Alrighty, so, I'm enjoying my time serving on the board, and I want to take my experience. I've had 20 years of legislative experience, policy making, working at all levels of government, federal, state, and local. The thing that I learned while working for the congressman for 6 years is the Virginia way. That's bipartisanship. We don't need politics in the school system. We need to put our children's futures first and politics last. And that's what I intend to continue to do while serving as your school board member for District 4. Thank you.
Okay, and we have Monty Ashliman.
Is that right?
Yes.
Did I say it right? Okay. Just making sure.
All right, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all of your time, your involvement in the community. Obviously, you wouldn't be here and spending time in your days and evenings if you didn't care on top of your personal lives. Lorraine, thanks for the opportunity to be here. As mentioned, my name is Monty Ashliman. I'm running for the open at-large seat on the Virginia Beach School Board in this upcoming election. I am a husband, although with all the wives, I don't know, sure if that's a good thing, but I am a husband. I'm the father of 3 beautiful daughters that all graduated from the Virginia Beach City Public Schools, Princess Anne School in particular. I just recently retired from active duty from the U.S. Navy as a Navy captain after over 32 years of service. And I'll come back after I tell you a little bit about that career and why I think that directly applies and how it makes me a great potential school board member. Graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 1990, went to flight school, and since then, about my entire adult life and my profession has been in academics. And I know for a lot of people, we see the military in movies, right? We kind of see the end product. But the reality is, it's a lot like boards. It's a lot like executive type meetings. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of things that aren't the exciting stuff that makes it onto film. So my entire career first, and in the areas that I think are important, are commanding officer of an F-18 Super Hornet Squadron, where there are 13 aircraft, 300 people doing the will of the President of the United States, protecting the nation, and serving the American public. As a Top Gun instructor, and I'll come back again, why I think all of these are critical and what's kind of molded me and makes me for an ideal school board member. And then finally, as a base commander, similar to Naval Air Station Oceana, but it was Naval Air Station Lemoore, that was where our West Coast fighters were. So how does this dude realize the school board doesn't fly airplanes? I do, right? But my entire career has been about developing curriculums. talking about policies, enforcing policies, making sure that the greater team has all the assets to do the job that they need to do, make sure that they're empowered, so that they have all the tools and assets that they need to do their job for the passion that has brought them there. So that has been my entire career, has been about collaborating, communication, representing, and strong leadership. And I was always taught early on, I don't think I ever was that guy in the room, but I was always taught that if you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, right? Because there are a lot of people, there are a lot of school board members, there are a lot of people in the entire city public schools that have other best practices, other cultures, other ways of doing business. And when I was on the Top Gun staff, that was probably the most intense collaborative environment that I had ever been in, right? Where it's okay to disagree. You respectfully disagree, you listen to others, and then you all come together on the other side for the betterment of, we called it mission objectives. Here, whether you want to call it core values, vision of the Virginia Beach City Schools, public schools, and that's students first. So everything that we should be doing should be for the educational development of the students. And there's obviously a lot that goes into that. So how have I served the community? I already talked about my active duty time. The United States Navy and all of the Department of Defense does a great job with what we call ComRails or community relations, where you work with organizations, neighborhoods, families, schools, for the betterment of the community as a part of that community. In addition, with the Virginia Beach Parks and Rec, working with them, another great asset for the Virginia Beach or the city of Virginia Beach for the families and for the children that are within our community. How do I think that I will support students and parents? First and foremost, I want to make the Virginia Beach City Public Schools a place where students, parents, and teachers are proud to be. If you have the desire and you want to homeschool your child, that's perfectly fine. If you have the desire and resources to send your child to a public school, to a private school, that's perfectly fine. But you shouldn't be not sending them to the city public schools because you're afraid of what's happening in those schools, or what, somebody is trying to maybe take the place of a parent, or whatever it may be. I just want it to be a place where parents are comfortable going, teachers want to be, and students are proud to be. And so how do I do that? First, I want to support the teachers. All right, we got to support the teachers, which means, negative behavior negatively affects everyone. So we need to make sure that standards are enforced. They've got all the resources and time to do the job that they've always aspired and loved to do. Protect parental involvement. Nobody should be taking your place as a parent. And at the same time, you've got to be connected with the schools. Why? Because the education continues on the home front where they spend a lot more time. Right? Good stewards of fiscal precious taxpayer dollars, and then student excellence. Students will meet the bar wherever we set it, right? So we shouldn't set it low because these are our future community leaders, the future health of our organization. And then finally, something that's specific for the Aragona Village here is I want to, and I agree with what previous candidates have said, developer John Aragona there, what his desire and his vision was for this land. So once Bayside 6 moves, I believe absolutely, that this should be utilized for parks. You've heard the Abilities Park mentioned, which I think is crucial as well. And in fact, that would leave the city of Virginia Beach. So it's Monty for school board, right? And I would certainly appreciate the consideration for your vote to ensure that the Virginia Beach City Public Schools are a great choice for families. Thank you.
First, let me say thank you to the Aragona City League for having this meeting today. This forum is really great. And I am Sharon Felton, and I'm running for the at-large seat for the city of Virginia Beach. That means that anybody that lives anywhere in the city of Virginia Beach can vote for me. And I tell you, it is a privilege to be here, to stand before you, to take this time to let you know who I am. I was born and raised in this city. As a matter of fact, I live in an area that's a historical area called SeaTac. And that has been built up to become one of the great places in the community of Virginia Beach. Also, I am a former librarian from ODU. I graduated from ODU, and that was a tremendous journey of its own. I have 4 children. I adopted 4 other children, and all of them went through the city of Virginia Beach Public Schools, and I do have grandchildren that are in the school as well. I also like to tell you that I embrace public school with my whole heart. Why? Because it will educate any eligible child. And if we have good schools, we have healthy communities. Good schools, we have healthy society. Good schools, public schools, That means those individuals come back and they take care of us, all that we put into them. And I just like to take this time out to commend this lady sitting in the back, 65 years. That is awesome. Thank you for your service. And I know you've been really, really active in making things happen in the community. I started out as a community activist. I used to come home from work from ODU, beaten through all that traffic, and some days we'd be backed up. And I would get home and I would have a step full of children on my steps and around my house. And then after the parents found out where the kids were, they would call, "Where are you?" Miss Felton, I said, "Oh, you fine." Those parents began to engage with me, wanting to know more about public school. How can I make my child more successful? How can I get my child into getting into more things in the public school? Had no clue. But I began to go to the school board members and begin to act within the community to find out. And when I found out that we needed a school board member, I wanted to be that because I wanted to be more engaging with my community. I'm Sharon Felton, and I believe in every student, every day. Every student, every day. And it takes a good school board to make sure that that happens. I'm here to tell you that I want to support our educators to make sure that they get a decent raise, a decent salary, and to make sure that they get that mental health support they need as well. You'll be surprised that teachers will tell you, we need support too, Ms. Felton. We need to know that the community and our board support us, and I do. Also, I want to let you know that I will stay engaged with my community, with my parents, and with my students. Just this morning, I was at a school this morning with a parent. They had parent teachers there, and she wanted to understand the information that she was being given. She said, "Can you go with me just to sit with me, to help me with that?" I've done that over the past 2 years, still going to the school, still advocating, still making sure that the parents understand that parents have rights. You have these things presented before you, and this is how I want to show them how to use those rights, how to be able to gain those rights in order for their child to have a successful education. Also, I want to make sure that my students be prepared for the future, to make sure that they are still getting all the skills that they need. I am proud to be one of the ones that when I was sitting on the board, we put together the Kentsville Entrepreneurial Business Academy. Awesome academy. If they ever have an open house, I would encourage you to go to see what our students are doing. Those students go through their process, and they go through a last inning called something like the Shark Tank. And most of those professionals that are sitting on there, they're telling them that I will hire you for my business because you got it all together. They're coming out with either from that academy, either they're going into a 4-year college to continue what they want, or they're coming out with skills to do something else, or they're coming out entrepreneurs. I'm Sharon Felton. I'm running for the large seat. And you can go to my site, Sharon Felton, and look me up and you can find out more information about me. I embrace public school with my whole heart, and I intend to do that when I go back on the school board. Thank you.
Thank each and every one of you for wanting to step up and serve. We certainly appreciate it. You are all, excuse me. Time's up. But yeah, you are certainly all wonderfully